Welcome back. RVS, aka Reggie vs. Solace, coming back to you with another video. And I want to talk about underrated items in AQ40. So we're in phase 5 of Vanilla or Classic World of Warcraft. And everyone knows the big ticket items that people are going to be going for. You got Skarm Tank talked about them and things like that. I want to talk about some underrated items. There's about a few. Underrated items that I feel that people should be prioritizing ahead of time, because there's going to be a log jam for specific items. We know all of those items are going to be the axe that drops, the different trinkets, things like that. The tier gear, of course, especially for warriors and things like that. We understand the high ticket items. I want to talk about underrated items that you should have your eyes on, that you can snag whenever the gates open on your server, so you could be ahead of the game. And these were items that people used when I played private servers, that people we were killing KT. We were in Nax farm status. And people were still going back to AQ40 for these items here. So let's get started, guys. Let me know what you think. Before I begin, please leave a like for the video and subscribe to the YouTube channel. New videos coming every Monday and every Thursday of each week. Alright, so let's get started, boys. So I'm over here. We're doing a bug grind, of course. You see a lot of PvP going on right now. So we'll take a look at that on our server. Let me get to a nice safe spot, and you see people doing the killing thing. So we'll watch them get annihilated. But let's talk weapons, or let's talk items. So the first boss here is Prophet Scarab. AQ40. You're gonna need 6 tanks to be able to get this guy down. Hopefully it's a little easier in classic, but it might be hard. And if it's hard, it'd be great. It'd be like private servers. All right. Underrated items. Underrated items off this boss here. This is not going to be underrated. This is going to be your best for everything. Of course, Breastplate of Annihilation. It's a step up from the SCG, Savage Gladiator Chain. SGC, Savage Gladiator Chain. Most your warriors are going to be going after this. It's not an underrated item at all. Underrated item. Not this one, of course. People are going to be going for because it has hit. It's not underrated at all. Yeah, people are going to be going for this, of course. Underrated. Pendant of the Kawaji Guardian. Great stats. Like I said, that's 24 attack power. A lot of people are going to skip this over because they may have the one from Molten Core. But if you're definitely a tank, a warrior tank, definitely would go for this one here, Pendant of the Kawaji Guardian. Most people are going to kind of pass it over because they have the Molten Core Trinket and things like that. But this one here is a quick grab. You can also use it in PvP as it has 17 stamina on the neck. Pretty good for those folks still ranking. You could be able to use it for both. Pendant of the Kawaji Guardian, underrated item off the Prophet Scarab in AQ40, which is the first boss. Make sure to bring your arcane protection potions also. You're gonna need a couple of those for that. This right here, I have not tried on private servers. The thick obsidian breastplate. I am interested in trying it out though. With the equip, which is a special on this one here, is as when stuck by a non-periodic damage spell, you have 30% chance to getting a 6-second spell shield that absorbs 300 to 500 school of damage. I think this would be pretty good for PvP. And of course, you have to mine the large obsidian shards. So bring your miners over to AQ20 and AQ40. They drop in both. You can be able to get this thing done with a regular blacksmith. You don't need to be a specified blacksmith either. You can just craft this one here. I think this is really underrated for PvP purposes. So a good PvP breastplate there. Something I'll probably be trying to get on Breast. This one's pretty good here. Thick obsidian breastplate. Underrated item. AQ40. Definitely most raiders are going to be skipping over this one here. But it's underrated for PvP purposes. Let's go to the next boss here. This is an optional boss. Optional. Bug Trio. A lot of different items here. When we were deep playing this game on private servers, a lot of people skipped over it. They didn't even come and finish this boss here. But of course, now that it's opening up Phase 5 in Classic WoW, I think people are going to be doing all the bosses trying to get the maximized loot. So a lot of good different things on here. This one, of course, Boots of the Fallen Hero. I'm not going to call this underrated because for the folks that are experiencing the chromatic boots not dropping for them, the pink boots, your Barbie boots, this one is a good alternative. The stats are slightly less, but it's basically for people who do not have the chromatic boots, your Boots of the Fallen Hero right there. But I'm not going to say that these are underrated at all. These are going to be on melee DPS radar, of course. Not going to say that. I'm not going to cover any nature resists because you're going to try to get those, especially for the soakers. I'm not going to cover those either. So none of these items here. I would say this one underrated item is the Triad girdle. And the reason why it's underrated is if you're at hit cap, this gives you 1% crit. So it's basically similar to your ZG belt, which everyone should have by now. It's basically a side grade, right? Triad girdle, side grade for AQ40. It's not an upgrade over your Ragnaros belt for plate. It's definitely not that, but it's definitely something. If you don't have that, this will be the item that you get here too. Another thing, especially for your druids, they're going to be looking out for this one here, is the Guise of the Devourer. I'm not going to talk too much about it. It's basically druid tank prio. 250 armor is going to be nasty. Increase your dodge attack by 1%. Let's go to Lord Kree. Killed last, right? As you can see, if you kill him last, you get these selection of items here. This Petrified Scarab, pretty good. You can use it for PvP. Like I said, it gives you a shield, which is pretty good on that one also. Another druid item, or also hunters too. So it's another good hunter item is Vest of the Swift Execution. Pretty good. 41 agility, 21 strength, 20 stamina. Those are excellent stats for a chest. As those go out also, you're going to have melee DPS trying to get on those also. Definitely good for rogues. It's pretty good. If it does drop, it can be like a greed type item. Not a need type item, but a greed type item. Something that's underrated. Vest of Swift Execution off the bug trio. But as you go on, people are going to start skipping this. It's a pretty tough fight. People are going to be trying to skip over this stuff here. There's another good item here, but most warlocks will be going for this also. The Shadow of Resistance for the Twin Emperors fight. Uko's Ring of Darkness. Yeah. But those are the items I say off of Bug Trio. If your guild starts skipping it, that's the reason why. Let's go to Battle Guard Satura. Probably the most frustrating fight besides Cthun, but one of the most rewarding fights also. She drops a lot of good stuff here. You get the Creeping Vine Helm for your healers. It's leather for the druid healers or whatever. Gloves of Enforcement. I'm not going to talk about these too much, but I will say this. I didn't have the Edge Masters on private servers. I have them on Classic because I was smart, realizing they were BIS. I had these up until KT. I like finishing KT. 22 kills on KT Classics. I'm in private servers, and I was rocking these Gloves of Enforcement. We would run basically bid runs where you bidded on an item before the AQ40 started. And if that item dropped, you rolled against whoever else bidded on the item. But you only can bid on one item, basically. So this was like, we're deep in the Nax, and that's how the things were scheduled for that guild or whatever. It was a plug, really. And what we would do here is I rolled on this one and I got it, and it was my best. If you're not going for the Cthun gloves for a warrior, which is plate, these are a great alternative. The Gloves of Enforcement. What it does, it gives you 1% crit because it gives you 20 agility and a chance to hit by 1% on your gloves. 28 strength. The gloves from Cthulhu gives you 35, so it's a slight downgrade from that one, but there's going to be all the warriors going for that one. So if you know you're in a guild that's low priority, if you're low priority, this will be basically your BIS gloves if you don't have Edge Masters, to be honest. It's second BIS in the game for warriors. You can quote me on that. You got the first one is your Cthun gloves. It's going to be BIS for the whole game. You don't have upgrades and knacks for DPS warriors. This one here, of course, it'll probably go to druids first. Then you have some competition for rogues. After that, your warriors, especially if this drops a lot, I will pick it up. Good to go. In classic, sometimes you're going to be wearing some leather also as a warrior. These are good here for rogues, druids also. Definitely underrated item for warriors. Like I said, I'm a warrior class leader in my server, or in my guild. A lot of tanks here, for some reason, I don't understand it, but they wore the gauntlets of steadfast determination all the way into Nax. These here, defense +9. I honestly like the tier sets, but a lot of warriors, or at least on private servers, they would rock these green gloves here. Let me show you how they look. All the warriors really rock these green gloves. Maybe it was because of the stats, but I would still go with tier. But like I said, an underrated item, which a lot of people may scoff over. It depends on classic because the meta changed, but I definitely know on private servers all the tanks had these gloves here. Yeah. Moving on, let's get to these legs right here, man. There's a lot of good legs that drop right here. A lot of good legs that drop. These are going to be sought after from different classes. This is the one that I'm going for. Now I understand here. This is why this trinket is underrated. I would say that. Is because a lot of the fights in raids are trash, and a lot of people take trash off. You know, especially a lot of melee DPS rogues. They're selfish. They're going to try to take trash off or whatever. The badge of the Swarm Guard. Remember, it's very, very seldom that your trash mobs are going to be 0 armor, because you're knocking them down pretty quickly. So imagine if you pop this trinket. It's only a 3-minute cooldown on your trash fights, your bugs, your Blackwing Lair trash, hell, your Nax trash when you're fighting ghouls and goblins and shit. Imagine you pop this before you do your whirlwind with your BRE, or your whirlwind with your Ashkandi, or your whirlwind with your CTS and your Thunder Fury, like I'm going to be doing. And you get those mobs down to 0 armor. You're going to be doing the most DPS, which is going to lead to your overall DPS being higher. That's why I feel, even though the bosses in Classic are Sunder armor can get them to 0 armor, which wasn't the case on private servers, but still the trash, you're not. Maybe the one that has 5 Sunders for the main tanking, but other than that, when you're fighting packs of mobs, this is going to get them to close to 0. And you're going to be on top of that DPS, which is going to lead to the overall raid DPS being higher, and then you being top 5 to being top 1. And that's how I'm going to do it. I'm going to be testing this one out. You're going to see plenty of videos coming about this trinket, because I am the first in line to get that, and I'm super excited. Underrated trinket. It was BIS on private servers, and I'm going to make it BIS because I'm going to be doing the most damage on those trash packs. And all you got to do is just switch it out when you get to your boss. That's all you have to do. There's going to be superior trinkets for boss fights, but remember, AQ and Nax, the majority of the fights are trash. Same thing with Blackwing Lair. So you're going to be knocking this one out here. I think this is very underrated, even though the Sunder armors can be able to get the bosses in Classic to 0 armor already. So off of Battle Guard Satura, super good fight. Couple of good armor upgrades and a nice trinket that I'll be definitely going for. All right, moving on to Thancris. We're not going to talk about the AQR. As far as swords goes, it's the second strongest sword in the game. Second strongest. The first is the Gressel Dawn of Ruin. You get off KT. The one a notch below that, as far as top end damage, is AQR. So we're not going to talk about it. It's pretty sick. You see that the top end damage is 213. The Gressel is 257. And it goes 257 to 213. So this is the second top end strongest sword, one-handed sword in the game. Just putting it out there. Rogue should be drooling over this one right here. Same thing with your warriors, especially horde side warriors that are not orcs. They should be definitely going for this one right here also. AQR is nice. We're not going to talk about it though. Barb Choker, I'm not gonna say this is underrated because this is the step upgrade from your ZG Hakard necklace. People are gonna be going for this one too. It's more stats all across the board. Plus it gives you 10 stamina, which you're gonna need in AQ40 and Nax. I'm gonna talk about the fetish of the Sand Reaver. For those classes that are threat fucking capped, and I know I'm one of them too. Classic's been kind of bad because I can't pop off like I'm normally used to. The fetish, at least for that fight, gets you to be able to pop off. It's great for Veil. Warlocks, warriors, maybe even rogues. This is the trinket right here. Fetish of the Sand Reaver. It is so good. Reduces your threat you generate by 70% for 20 seconds. So if you're at an enraged portion of the fight, you pop this, your threat's diminished by 70%. Nasty. That's all I'm going to say about that one here. And I don't think a lot of people are understanding that. Fetish of the Sand Reaver, used situationally, hopefully I said that correctly, is a great trinket. Underrated in the grand scheme of things when you time it with your execute phase, sub 20%. All right. The other items here too, of course, Shadow Resistance Warlock should be going after this one. We're not going to talk too much about that. Nature Resistance, we're not going to talk about that one here. The last underrated off of this boss armor upgrade are these here. Scaled Sand Reaver Leggings. The reason why, look at the stats. The stats don't lie, boys. 62 attack power on legs. So if you don't have your Titanic leggings, if you don't have your Titanic leggings, it's a warrior. You don't have them. These are upgrade over Cloud Keepers. All right. Now your rank 12 legs are better, but other than me, there's going to be very few people who did their rank their PvP grind. But shout out to you guys. Stick with your General's leggings. They're awesome. For the lazy guys or the guys that are just PvE Andes, you might want to consider these. People are going to pass them over once the appropriate classes get them. But if they continue to drop, a month, 2 months, 3 months into AQ, you should be able to pick these up. There's going to be, of course, warriors that are low in priority. You should be going for these leggings here. 62 attack power, 23 stamina, and then you get a chance to crit by 2%, which is 40 agility for warriors. Definitely underrated item here. I've seen a lot of these drop since it's male. People stop rolling on it. And I'm like, look, I'll take those right now because I have some trash leggings back when I was in private servers. And they were a super stat boost. Just putting that out there. Also, if you're hit cap, these should go to druids first. But after that, these are pretty strong for warriors and rogues. And you look at the stamina, 30 stamina, underrated for PvP. Just putting that out there. 30 stamina, underrated for PvP, boys. All right. Sidious. I have a guide that's probably already out by the time this video comes out. Talking about the Cold Rage Dagger and how that is BIS and how to farm and get that and run those runs. I talk a little bit about the reason why you're trying to kill Sidious. It's an optional boss. You don't have to kill him to knock out AQ40. But the reason why people come are for, of course, this is the main weapon here, the sharpened sliplet femur. All your casters that have their one-handers from AV or Jindo's bag of whammies, I think it is, from ZG, they're going to be trying to go for this upgrade because it's the direct upgrade from the Mage Blade. So we're not going to talk too much about that one there, but they're going to definitely be going for this one. So you want to get in and knock out Sidious to get all of your casters. This right here. All right. So other items here, of course, are Ring of Kawaji Fury, Fury Warriors, Rogues going to be going for this one. It's pretty nasty. Of course, your idols. There's not too many gear pieces here that are underrated. This one, of course, would be for like your chamois and things like that. This is a pretty straightforward boss. Like I said, it's optional. Moving on. The Princess. So you get your soaking gear ready. If you're rogues and warriors, get your soaking gear ready for Princess. Of course, Cloak of the Golden Hive. Finally, a good, decent tanking cloak, because the cloak that drops in Blackwing Lair, it just has dodge on it. You don't really want that. This one here has some good defense, 13 strength, 10 agility, 19 stamina. So good. So good. People are going to be going after this one here too. Underrated. Hive Defiler wrist guards, 18 agility, which is basically 1%. It's slightly lower than 1%. And then you have all this stamina. I think it's like 48 or 46 attack power. 46 attack power on this. It's super, super strong, boys. Definitely want to be going for this one there too. Hive Defiler wrist guards. Pretty nice. Bow Stinger of course for your hunters. Pretty decent. Like I said, this is a straightforward boss also. Nothing too crazy about this one. You want to get the Ring of Mater, Martyr or whatever. Twin Imps. Twin Imps. Here we go. This is a crazy fight, but it also is probably the widest variety of loot. I'm going to talk about this bad boy right here, right? Because this is the one, like I said, to me, this is the best looking sword in the game to me. I do have a two-handed warrior as well as a one-handed warrior. And I love this in private servers, man. Walking around Orgrimmar with this, one, it's a great RP weapon for those that are PvP servers like myself. Another thing, it's lower top end damage and it's a faster speed, so you're not going to get as much DPS from like the Ashkandi or your BRE. So it's basically the third sword, but great in PvP because of the proc. And as you guys know, I talk big about procs. Procs are much higher in Classic WoW than they've ever been in private servers. And I played on K2, I played on Elysium, Lightbringer, Nostalgius in 2016, played on all of them. The proc rates were so low on those servers because they didn't know. Now we are in Blizzard's official servers, even though it's easy peasy. The proc rate is going to be nasty on this one. It's going to be nasty. Look at people dancing, man. This is crazy. But Kalimor's Revenge, definitely underrated. Especially if you just need a PvP weapon. You want to be going for this one there too, because the proc is going to be nasty in PvP. I, of course, rock with Gressel. So you're going to be, I showed you guys with, for Horde side and your Wind Fury totem, you can do top 5 DPS when you use your two-handers right. And I'm going to be definitely trying it out. This will be the next upgrade from the Ashkandi. Even though Ashkandi's more, it's better as far as raw damage with the attack power. I still love the procs, and I'm going to see how it procs with the Maelstrom Trinket. All right, so that's an underrated weapon there too. As far as the Twin Imps go, there's of course different stuff people are going to be using here. You got your defense belt. Everything else is pretty much straightforward as far as this boss goes here. Another leather piece. I want to talk about this one. All right. The Karaji Execution Bracer. So on private servers, this was prior to Warriors. There wasn't a better wrist for Warriors than this one. Now, of course, you got a mix of retail players or people that never played Classic before. They're going to say, oh, it's leather. All right. Well, if your guild, like I said, it depends on your guild. If your guild priors this to Warriors, or if they prior with the Rogues, just know everyone's going to be trying to roll on this when their time comes up. I'll put it like that. Very, very, very good wrist guards or bracers. Chance to hit by 1, 16 agility, 15 strength, plus 14 stamina. You get all 4 right there. Plus 103 armor for your druids. It's the perfect BIS. This was BIS throughout Classic, by the way. I mean, throughout private servers, vanilla. You don't get an upgrade in Nax. This was it. So everyone should be rolling forward. There shouldn't be any chance to D this to a Nexus Crystal or anything like that. It depends on your guild if it's going to go to Warriors, because Warriors is going to be the best DPS post AQ40 into Nax by far. We're going to crush all the meters. It's going to be top 5 Warriors. That's how Classic is. If you guys haven't noticed it already, but there's some good Warriors. There's some good hunters that can give competition. But that's the reason why on private servers this was prior to Warriors. It depends on your guild. I'm just putting it out there. But these are going to be best for the entirety of Classic. Very good Karaji Execution Bracers. Alright, then you get some other stuff right here. We're not going to talk too much about. Shadow resistance isn't really a thing. The threat, really good. You definitely want this. Moving on. And subtlety is going to be awesome. All of your melee classes should be going after getting this enchant once it drops for your guild enchanter. Alright, we're going to Oro. Alright, and this is what I want, how I did it in private servers again. I'm gonna start right here. Larvae of the Great Worm. I was able to put my bid on this gun, and a lot of people thought it was going to be like open roll. If no one bids on the item in private servers, then it becomes open roll and anyone can bid on it. And people didn't realize I went into the entire raid and I wanted this one gun because it was my best throughout the entirety of that server or classic or vanilla, however you want to call it. Look at the stats. You become like a cannon. 18 attack power on a gun, and you get 1% chance to crit. You know, your Blast Star launcher gives you 1% chance. You don't get the 18 attack power. Your Dwarf Destroyer from ZG gives you, I think, 30 attack power. You get no chance to crit. On this gun, you get both. So all the warriors and rogues should be going after this. Honestly, you're stupid if you don't. Larvae of the Great Worm. If you're rocking guns and you don't need the hit, because a lot of people, Striker's Mark, of course, if you need the hit. But if you don't need the hit, if you have your hit from other items, then this is the gun you need to get. And that's putting it right there. Especially if, like me, I have Edge Masters. I'm an undead warrior with Edge Masters. My hit cap's only 6%. So I get a lot more flexibility to play around with other weapons, like this. So if you're hit cap, this is your best, pretty much. People that keep thinking Striker's Mark is BIS are not hit cap, or struggling to be hit cap. And realizing that you can get hit capped from having hit on all the other items, and then you have time to be able to play with this. So if you are hit capped, or if you have the class that has some specialties to get you hit cap with like points and everything, and this is the item to get right here. Definitely an underrated weapon that people may pass because they're not hit capped or they have Striker's Mark. This is the weapon to get. I know I'm going to be going for it. All right. Jungle Bar, like a lot of people said already, if you're a rogue, don't be fooled. There's better trinkets and knacks. Do not roll on this trinket. It's very slight DPS increase. Who wants to roll on this? Hunters, because hunters don't get a lot of shit. They get the barb here from AQ, but this one here is what you really need. Is the Jungle Bar right there for hunters. Maybe some warriors that are lazy and didn't go for the Earthstrike trinket because it's BIS, or don't have the DFT. Like I said, we've only seen like 3 DFTs in my guild, and we've been fucking playing that BWL since like what, February or March or something like that. Then you might go for this trinket here too, but it should be Hunter Prio. Yeah, and you go from there. Burrow Shell is pretty cool. PvP, underrated type of thing there. Like I said, you're gonna be using this. It's basically the Defiler's, the Talisman, I think it is. But it absorbs 900 damage. Pretty good for PvP. Underrated for PvP because you use that Talisman. Now you can be able to use this. Any class can use it. It's an upgraded Talisman. I will say that here too. And this is, of course, Master RP, the Rigoberto's Lost Hat. Let's get to the big boss fight here, boys. Is Cthun. All right. Let's see here. So you got some healing stuff that are going to be of course, Cloak of Devour is going to be sought after from everyone. I can't call that underrated. This here, if you don't have, no, I said try. I said the Triad girdle was underrated because that's an optional boss. This here is going to be sought after. It's BIS for rogues. It's BIS for druids. It's super BIS. Everyone should be rolling on this one. Even warriors, once the rogues and the druids have it, even warriors gonna be trying to roll for this if they don't have the onslaught girdle. But definitely should be prior for hunters and hunters, rogues, druids. Moving on from that, this is right here, Gauntlets of Annihilation. This is the one. This is your BIS for AQ40. This is your BIS for Nax. This is the best gauntlets or hands or gloves you're gonna have in the entire game. It also matches the tier 2.5 set. So if you see here, those gloves match the shoulders and the tier 2.5 pieces that you're gonna have. This gloves matches that. You're gonna want that, especially for the DPS wars are finally gonna have a tier set that all the gear matches instead of being mix and match like we've been for all of the phases up until this one. So that's pretty cool too. These gloves match it. Every tank There's going to be tanks rolling on this one. There's going to be DPS warriors. It depends on your guild. That's all I'm going to say. But these are going to be sought after well after you're killing KT. His KT drops 0 loot for your hands or whatever, besides the warrior loot. All right. This here, the trinket for the Vanquished Tentacle of Cthun, I think it's like a meme, but it depends on how it's going to be used in Classic, if it's powerful or things like that. It comes to your raid. A lot of people just wrote memes on this one. Moving on from that. Alright, we're going to talk about Death Sting here too. Alright, I think this is underrated here because tanks are going to be rolling on it. At least in my guild, tanks roll for daggers. But I think dagger rogue should also be prior for this one too. It's going to be a highly contested item. Same thing with your Dark Edge of Insanity for your Orc Warriors. The best probably, besides Mom and Nax, Mace of Minotaur I think it's called. This is going to be your best. It's stronger than the Rag Mace. It's stronger than that. It's going to be just nasty. The proc, it procs a lot. It disorients the target for 3 seconds. It's just nasty. And it keeps proccing. So everyone's going to be going for this one. It's definitely not underrated. It's probably the most powerful PvP weapon in the game, besides that mace that Arthas used. But this is going to be pretty nasty. Definitely the strongest two-handed axe in the game. It's ridiculous. You're going to be going for this one there too, boys. Alright. And then trash loot. Let's get the trash loot. This is memes. Unless the damage distribution is different in Classic WoW. I would say that. The reason why I say that is because Shard of the Fallen Star distributed that 400 damage to all the targets it hit. It wasn't 400, 400, 400, 400. Then it would be strong. But it distributed it out, which is bad. So hopefully that trinket is different, and then it'll be pretty decent for like your trash packs, basically. Anasibith Warhammer, everyone's going to be going for this one here too. You get this now to pair with your AQ20 mace or your Nax maces that drop off, the servo arm. And it's the strongest one-handed mace in the game. So you're going to pair this because you don't get mace weapon skill on your Edge Masters. It's swords, daggers, and axes. So this, once you pair it, and you may even get 2 of them, but you can get your maces +4. You get 2 maces +8. And 8 is the magical cap. That's what you want. You want 8 of your weapon spec. So that one there too. This it's low on your DPS per second, of course, but it's 370 attack speed. Hopefully it procs a lot. That's what I was saying on that one. On private servers, it did not proc a lot. But if it does proc a lot, if it does proc good, this is pretty decent. And it's basically a black version of the Trenchbane from Tribute runs. Yeah. And that's pretty much it, boys. As far as everything else here is not going to be underrated. You're trying to get your red mount, of course. But I would say the Warhammer is pretty good. And if this gives 400 per target, then it's going to be a lot stronger. And then this be an underrated trinket also that drops off of it. I think I rolled a 99 when it dropped on private servers and I won it. But the 400 went to like all the targets instead of 400 per target. And that makes a big difference there too. So let me know what you guys think. Long video talking about underrated items in AQ40 as we are into phase 5. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel, twitch.tv Reggie vs. Solace. Go subscribe there. We're going to be running raids. We have, of course, the videos on the YouTube channel. Reggie vs. Solace on YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, Instagram. Feel free to subscribe on both. Give a like to the video. Helps out the algorithms. And I will see you guys next time. Take it easy.